Good evening, I'm Henry Vigilio, your local connection. Tonight we discuss filmmaking with two young local film directors. The Philadelphia Film Festival, now in its 13th year, is currently showing more than 250 films from 42 countries. Many of these are being shown for the first time in this country. The festival has become a must-stop for many filmmakers and critics alike. Tonight, we get a behind-the-scenes look at filmmaking from two local directors who were featured in this year's festival. Alexander Ballas directed Injustice, an intense melodrama about love, hate, and human redemption. Eric Bresler directed Otaku Unite, a documentary that takes a close look at the world of obsessive fans that follow Japanese animation. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. It's a pleasure to have you on. And let me start with this idea that it being for both of you your first projects that are featured in a film festival, must be pretty exciting to have something like this, like your projects, being featured at a festival that's grown every year to become, like I said, a must-stop. Eric, what's that been like?
I think the anxiety balances out the excitement pretty well. It's my first movie and my first festival, and I'm very curious as to how audiences are going to receive it.
So have you been losing a lot of sleep since the 8th?
I have. I've been sick and.
Okay, well, the normal reactions. What about you, Alex?
I think it's a great experience. I'm in sort of the same boat Eric is. I'm just really curious to see how the audience is going to react to the film. So I haven't been sleeping either. Just trying to go to as many films as I can see and meet as many people.
But sort of getting over the butterflies in the stomach now that you're sort of midway in through this.
Absolutely. Once you get in the groove, and people have sort of seen the film through screeners or whatnot, so you get more comfortable with people the more you see them.
Great. Now I want to remind our viewers, tonight on Philly Live, we're talking to two local young film directors. Both of them have features that are being presented in this year's Philadelphia Film Festival, which is in its 13th year. If you're an aspiring filmmaker, an aspiring actor, if you're someone that would love to fund a project, tonight's your night to call us up and talk to two guys that have done it and that could answer all these questions for us. So let's start with that. Eric, your feature film is about Japanese animation. Right before we went on, you told me this project took you more than 2 years to complete. Long time, a lot of dedication. Tell me a little bit about where the idea was born for you to focus on this subject.
Well, this subject in particular was something that I had a personal interest in. I've always been interested in Japanese popular culture in general, including animation and music and film. I was doing a radio show in Philly, which I still do, all Japanese music.
Okay.
And
do you speak Japanese?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
But you enjoy the music anyway.
I do. I do. The sound is enough.
Sure, sure.
So,
I mean, you've been involved, you've been following Japanese animation.
Yes.
We do have a clip that we want to show briefly, but tell me basically what is the theme behind the documentary? It's focused on American fans of Japanese animation?
It is. It's about the importation of the animation itself.
Okay.
And the reception of the American anime fans.
And there are conventions all over the country that focus on that.
Yeah, it's about the history of the conventions springing up and anime making its way to television, and just this huge. It's just become this huge mainstream phenomenon at this point, and it started very grassroots.
Okay, well, right now we're going to take a break and we're going to show a clip about anime and Eric Bresler's documentary.
The attendance has gone up dramatically. We've had a lot of people in costume. We've had a pretty much even split between male and female.
In the early years, in the early 90s when the AnimeCon started up, it was predominantly male, around college age. But as time went on, I'm noticing that the demographics have shifted from being male-dominated to being almost a 50-50 male-female ratio.
You have girls now coming into the fandom. You got mom and dad coming into fandom. You have people getting married who had grown up and have this similar interest, and they're coming to the con, and they're bringing their babies. I went to several conventions where they've had mom, dad, and the kids, all of them having an interest, all of them having badges.
You can meet the woman of your dreams at a convention now. We met.
You know, as you met and talked with these folks, what did you conclude as to where the fascination and interest comes from in people like this, in this type of, in what really is foreign culture?
It's true, and that's the most interesting thing about the fandom in general. I think people were tired of American animation. During the 80s and the early 90s, it just went on a huge downswing, and it just became commercial properties, while the Japanese and other Asian countries continued to put, massive amounts of work and creativity into their products. So I think animation fans were looking for something new, and that was found in
So it's
Japanese.
exploded. I mean,
it has.
What do you think about? I mean, I remember when I was a little younger. It may have been like in the '80s, watching animation and not really knowing that the people producing it were Japanese. So you think that's sort of something that's going away, where people are more aware that a lot of the animation we watch is produced in Japan?
Exactly. I think a lot of the older fans will tell you that they grew up watching Speed Racer and Astro Boy and Marine Boy, and they had no idea. Star Blazers. They had no idea it was from Japan.
So, I mean, they have a long history then of animation.
Now the networks are actually calling these cartoons anime. They're saying that they're from Japan. Cartoon Network, refers to their anime programming block.
Okay.
It's very obvious now, and people, I think, want something different.
And do you think that in Japan in particular, I guess the technology, do you think it sort of has surpassed anything that may be happening in this country just because they focus so much more on it?
Definitely. And I think that's why, even just taking American animation itself has improved drastically because they're taking a lesson from the Japanese and Koreans.
They have a tendency, right, to take something we've created, perfecting it, and then re-importing it back here for us to learn it even more.
Exactly.
Now, we do have some more B-roll here. Can you describe a little bit more about what we're watching here? I mean, you went to these conventions as you filmed the documentary. You sat down with a lot of people. We were looking at some covers.
Yes.
Would these be typically like the comic books that people would buy here?
Well, those in particular were convention program covers.
Okay.
Japanese comics are very similar to American comics, except the panel arrangement is usually different. It's more intricate. I think the artistic types are drawn to that. They do have a unique style, but storyline is basically the same as American.
What part of the country did you find there was most of the interest, and where were some of these conventions held?
Jeez, the interest is really widespread. I mean, we went from LA to Chicago to Dallas. The numbers never really changed.
So all over the country, these conventions are taking place?
Oh, yes. There's more than 70 held annually now.
Wow.
So,
Would attendance give me an idea of how many people are showing up at these things?
At the smallest ones, you usually find around 800 to 1,500. At the biggest ones, 20 to 30,000.
Wow. So like in LA, perhaps, maybe?
Yeah. Out in California, they have the huge ones. And there's a big one in Baltimore.
Unbelievable. Right, and we're going to get back to how you made it and how you got it into the festival. But Alex, let's get you involved in this conversation. Your film's different. Yours is more of a movie as opposed to a documentary. So it's a different type of film.
Right.
And it focuses on a central character, who is up for police commissioner. Is that right?
He's up for police commissioner.
Take me behind the scenes now. Like, Eric, as you finish your product, first of all, tell me how many hours of filming for your documentary did you actually have? Because obviously for both of you, it must be overwhelming. You've got all this information. What do you leave out, and what do you decide to pick that finally makes the cut? So tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, after 2 years of shooting, we had over 100 hours of footage. And
for what's the final amount of time in the documentary?
Well, I was planning on making it from 60 to 90 minutes and ended up at 70.
70.
So my first cut was like 3 hours long.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so you can imagine how much stuff that I loved
Go back to the drawing board, right? So as you decided, okay, you're 3 hours then, do you share it at that point with other people who then say, at that point you probably knew it was too long as well, but...
Yeah, you have to share it because there's no way to really gauge yourself after watching it so many times. It all seems natural to you at that point.
You start to overlook things.
Yes.
Okay, what about you, Alex? How much did you have, and you boiled it down to what?
They say in film, the director's favorite scene is always the first one to get cut.
Is that right?
So
is that the same for you, Eric? There were maybe interviews that you're like, oh, I really want to have in here, but in the end, you had to sacrifice them?
Oh, definitely. Just to help the flow of the piece as a whole, you have to make sacrifices.
So what happens to all that to that 90-some hours of material you still have?
Bonus material on DVD.
Yeah, uses up my hard drive space. That's what it does.
You don't plan on using it anywhere else then, though, because it.
Well,
is
yeah,
it
like
possible?
he said, this is a great era to be making movies in because
Right.
of DVDs. So you know you
Sure.
can just have
Your own special
Director's
3-hour
cut.
behind the
There you
scenes
go.
director's cut
There
and
you
throw it all in there.
Absolutely.
Look, we have another caller. We have Atkins on the line. Atkins, welcome to Philly Live. What is your question?
Hey, I really have a comment for
Go
you
ahead.
guys.
Yeah.
I think, first of all, I think public television is a great, medium for getting out good information to the people. I'm also happy that, the film festival is doing so well. I really want to say that I think I like the Japanimation,
Okay.
and I
The
just want to
anime,
keep jumping on that because I think very few people realize how much of American entertainment, really film and cartoons, actually come from Japan nowadays. Of course, in the early 70s and all,
But
we had the
what do
spaghetti
you,
westerns.
what do you particularly like about it? What attracts you to the Japanese animation?
Adult. It's adult.
Okay.
It's not necessarily for children. I mean, the things that happen aren't necessarily geared towards children. If you look at the masters and the way they do their work, I mean, these guys put months sometimes into creating, a book when they do it. It's not something that's for children necessarily, and I think...
Eric, you want to hop in there?
Yeah, Atkins. Not to argue. Well, actually, to argue with you. Anime is not just for adults. Look at Pokemon. I mean, that whole phenomenon was absurd. I mean, and that's for kids. And the Digimon and the Hamtaro. I mean, half of the anime on television is geared towards 2 to 8-year-olds.
Sure.
So it really is for everybody, and it's good that we are at a point where all of the adult stuff is coming over too.
Right. So So it runs the gamut. Then.
It
They're
does.
producing for, and like
See-
Atkins is saying, there's a niche there too that attracts adults. I mean, to think that an adult can sit through like lengths of animation is like, wow, well, that's kind of curious, but it happens.
Right, and I think that's what he was saying is one of the big errors. Anime isn't a genre; it's animation, so it is it's a broad genre, I guess. But within that, there's anime for kids and teens
I
and
get you.
adults.
Sure.
And Americans, since it's an import, we see it. Since they have their own sections in the video stores, we see it as there's drama, comedy, anime.
Sure, but it's anime. Really, it's everything that
Yes.
encompasses. Is it dubbed? I mean,
Oh,
or
it
do
can
they-
be. That's
it
a
can
big anime argument, dubbed
Okay.
or subtitled.
But some of it is shown here in Japanese.
The majority of the television isn't, but yeah, once in a while.
It
Theatrical films are subtitled.
Okay. Now, Eric, let me get back to you. As far as moving forward, well, let me ask you first, what has the reception been from other folks, other directors involved in the festival, and from folks that have viewed the documentary?
Well, it's a very limited number at this point. This will be the world premiere at the festival, which I'm very excited about.
Okay.
But anime fans that have seen it, anime press fans, they love it, and it gives me high hopes. It's what a general audience thinks about it that I'm curious
Sure.
about.
Now, have you been promoting this over the web?
Oh, I have. Oh, yes. That's what I've been spending the last month doing.
What's the purpose here? I mean, are you hoping to make enough contacts where you can then take this to other festivals and then maybe hopefully land someone that can widely distribute it? Eric, is that sort of is that the end game here?
That's an ideal arrangement. Yes. It'd be great if somebody from another festival said, "Hey, we'll show it there," and then the chain of events led to it getting distributed.
Because that's a costly proposition, right? I mean, just to get it widely distributed. And the cost to promote, cost to produce, for example, your documentary, you traveled to a number of cities.
We did.
Did you foot your own bill for that, or were
Yes.
people sort of sponsoring you?
No. It was all me, all travel costs.
Really?
Yeah.
So what you do, like, you own your own van? Did you just rent a car and say, let me just hit the road and go? Or
I really took whatever car was available and
Is that?
whatever equipment I could get my hands on.
Did you go by yourself, or did you have friends with you?
No, I had a 5-person crew altogether, and they rotated from shoot to shoot.
Okay, so they weren't always with you, but you'd say, okay, you're going to meet me in L.A., and then they'd meet you in L.A., and you'd shoot
Yeah, or
in
we'd
LA.
travel together depending on where we all were. It was very makeshift, but it all came together very nicely.
So what was that like? I mean, you're probably spending, or trying to spend next to nothing, trying to really pinch your pennies as you're on the road.
Yeah, but it's like a vacation. So we're just out to have fun. And
Okay, great. Let's take another call. We have John from Newtown on the line. John, welcome to the program. What's your question?
Yes, hello, sir. I said how to be in contact with Alexander and Eric in the future because I'm interested in films.
Okay, well, I think you guys both have websites,
Yep.
right? And just to answer that question, John, if you go to our website, which we'll give you at the end of the program, you'll definitely be able to link into their websites so you can get all the information you need on their projects. Do you guys have clips on the web, streaming sort of video of what
Yep.
you've put on?
Definitely.
Okay.
Downloadable trailer, absolutely.
Okay, so you do have trailers,
Yep.
not the entire,
No.
because that would be too much to put
Right.
together.
Right.
Okay, great.
For the most part, they gave it to us. You know, we showed them the project, we talked to them, they sort of felt us out about what we were trying to do, and they really supported us.
And then Eric, in about 15 seconds, as you ran around the country, did you have an open door to kind of go in and shoot and interview people?
Oh yeah, we just ran in, ran out.
Yeah.
Don't need
So
to
people
know.
had no problems.
No,
Did you have to pay to get into the conventions?
not usually. I usually found a way in.
Yeah, okay, to sneak in. Well, look, guys, good luck to both of you.
Thank you.
These are wonderful
you.
projects. Great start, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you
All
very
right, thanks
much.
for joining us tonight. Thank you for your phone calls tonight. Thanks for watching Philly Live. You know, you can get more information about tonight's topic or any of the programming here on Philly Live and WYBE by going to our website at wybe.org. Ashok Monday night, your global connection. Another edition of Philly Live. He'll be discussing Northern wisdom with an Eskimo elder. For Philly Live, I'm Henry Negija. Have a good evening, a great weekend, and a good night.